Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Deep Gripping Reality Podcast. Tonight, we dive into a topic that's as alarming as it is thought-provoking: the creation of the Department of Government Efficiency, or as it's been dubbed, DOGE. No, not the cryptocurrency meme, but something far more serious. A proposed federal department spearheaded by President-elect Donald Trump, designed to audit, streamline, and potentially dismantle parts of the government. At the helm of this new initiative are Elon Musk, the tech entrepreneur whose leadership style is equal parts visionary and reactionary, and Vivek Ramaswamy, the self-styled disruptor of political norms. Before we get lost into buzzwords, let's break this down. What does it mean for you, the average American? And more importantly, should we be worried? Let's start with the facts. DOGE's stated goal is to eliminate wasteful spending, streamline government operations, and cut through bureaucratic red tape. Sounds noble, right? But here's the catch. DOGE won't just propose ideas, it'll wield significant influence on how government agencies function. Think of it as a scalpel poised to slice through federal programs, potentially cutting deep into the heart of regulatory bodies like the EPA and the CDC. Now, Elon Musk, the man tasked with co-leading this effort, has a track record. When he took over X, formerly Twitter, he slashed its workforce, shut down servers, and made rapid-fire decisions, all in the name of efficiency. The results? Operational struggles, glitches, and a social platform that many argue has yet to fully recover. If that approach is applied to federal agencies, the consequences would ripple across every corner of our society for the foreseeable future. So consider this. DOGE has no direct power to eliminate agencies or rewrite laws. That would require acts of Congress. But, and this is a big but, Trump has already begun appointing loyalists to key positions. Imagine Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a vocal critic of vaccines, overseeing the CDC. Or Lee Zeldin, a staunch advocate for deregulation, running the EPA. Through strategic appointments, this administration could fundamentally reshape how these agencies operate without needing a single vote in Congress. This is how you dismantle a system from within. It's not about passing sweeping legislation. It's about changing the culture, the priorities, and yes, the very mission of federal agencies. And with Republicans holding control of both House and Senate, the path to rubber stamping these changes has never been smoother. But let's not panic just yet. There are checks and balances. The courts can intervene, the Administrative Procedure Act demands public input on regulatory changes, and Congress itself isn't a monolith. However, these safeguards are not foolproof, especially when the people implementing the changes are motivated to push the boundaries of what's legal versus what's ethical. And here's another layer to consider. Democrats, aware of the importance of the judiciary, have been working to confirm as many federal judges as possible before the new administration takes office. The move aims to fortify the courts against potential overreach, ensuring a balance of power. But even this strategy has its limits. Judges can interpret laws, but not make them. And their ability to block executive actions often depends on the specifics of each case. So while courts are a safeguard, they're not an impenetrable shield. So, interesting side note here. The idea of achieving government efficiency by cutting federal spending, gutting various departments, and firing, quote, unfireable federal bureaucrats is nothing new. In fact, the suggestion to privatize many government functions, such as the National Weather Service and the TSA, and fully eliminate the Department of Education are all specifically outlined in Project 2025's mandate for leadership. Now, before you jump into
Project 2025 isn't part of Trump's administration.
I understand that. This is a document that Trump himself claims to know very little about and having never read it. And that may be true. He may not have read it, but I have. It's a 710-page document that may very well outline exactly what is to come in Trump's next 4 years, and so I encourage you to read it yourself. You'll find a link to it along with all of my other sources in the description. The document itself outlines sweeping overhauls to departments like Housing, Urban Affairs, Justice, Homeland Security. That's just a few. So let's ask the hard questions. If the Department of Education is gutted, what happens to our public schools? If the EPA is stripped of its enforcement power, who protects the water that we drink and the air that we breathe? If FDA regulations are rolled back, who keeps an eye on chemicals that are allowed to be added to the foods that we feed our children? And if the CDC is restructured to fit the ideology of its leader, what happens during the next public health crisis? These aren't hypotheticals, folks. These are real risks tied to real decisions made by real people. And these people have shown time and time again that efficiency and cost cutting often come at the expense of functionality and public welfare. We all know that history repeats itself, and if you want a sneak peek at the risks that we may face, simply look back to May of 2018. That's when the Trump administration disbanded the Pandemic Response Unit, which was established in 2016 as a response to the Ebola outbreak. By 2019, the CDC's presence in China had been slashed to nearly nothing, including eliminating a position focused on training Chinese epidemiologists to respond to outbreaks. These decisions left us less prepared for COVID, a crisis that cost millions of lives and devastated economies worldwide. In fact, economists agree. We're still recovering from the effects of COVID. So, did these actions weaken our country's ability to respond effectively to a global health crisis? The answer is undeniably yes. So this isn't just a government experiment, this is political doomsday scenario for the average American. Regulations exist to protect us, from unsafe food to unchecked pollution to financial exploitation. Efficiency can be a double-edged sword when it's wielded recklessly. So if you're at all concerned that your voice won't be heard in the hallowed halls of Congress, perhaps it might be a good idea to save this number in your phone. 202-225-3121. That's 202-225-3121. It's the number for the U.S. House of Representatives. As citizens, we have a responsibility to stay informed and demand transparency. If DOGE truly seeks to serve the public good, it must be held accountable at every turn. Because as history has taught us, when power consolidates in the hands of a few, the many often bear the cost. This has been the Deep Gripping Reality Podcast. I'm your host, Steve. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and as always, dig deep, my friends.